On Fanalysis, we take the stats born in fantasy football combined with the latest betting trends to find you the sharpest angles every week. We turn to our lead betting analyst from Pickswise, Jared Smith. Jared, I want to talk about how we can beat the bookies. How can we bend the books in our favor? Because if you're going to bet the Jets and the Bills game under, why not go ahead and pair that with a single game parlay with a line movement? For example, the Jets alternate lines along with, first off, the over-under is at minus 105. The 46, you're getting a minus 105. But if you parlay that with moving the line from, say, what is it, 11.5, you move it to 14.5 on the Jets side, you get plus 174. You can go all the way to Jets plus 25.5, and you actually get better odds than just a straight over-under bet. How do you feel about this parlay alternate line theory?
The one thing I love about you, Steve, is it's a growth mindset. Always figuring out ways, trying to figure out ways to improve ROI by reducing risk. I mean, that really is investing 101, right? You know, laying a little bit less juice. Obviously, we need two results, and the parlays can be a little difficult sometimes. The books do make their money from parlays, but they make most of their money from those insane CVS receipts where you're doing a 10-team parlay. In this particular case, we are trying to find some hidden value in the market by betting something that's correlated, which is why we're not getting crazy payouts on these parlays. But what we are doing is manipulating the lines in our favor, and we're trying to write our own game script and then backing that up with risking a little less juice to get a little bit more on the back end. Now, when you sent these over to me, the first two that came to mind is, all right, we're going to bookend. We're going to go, if you like the Bills this week, and I do think the Bills are the right side this week, so let's use that side of the coin here. To me, Bills plus 3.5, and then the under. If we like the under, which we do, the Bills losing this game by more than a field goal is just so unlikely of a scenario that I feel good about, tacking that on to any under bet that I make and trying to, again, reduce a little bit of the risk to gain a little bit of ROI on the back end. Now, the other one that is intriguing is the one at the top of the curve, the under paired with Bills minus 9.5, which is kind of where we saw this line open. So I think both of those are fair options if you're trying to get a little bit of extra giddy up there on your under bet this week between the Bills and the Jets.
I mean, I just find it so interesting. I mean, like, you can go all the way to Bills plus 3.5, and you actually get better odds than just the under straight up, which, I mean, I find that really fascinating. So you're right. The whole point here is to try to bend the odds in your favor. The whole point is to find a better return on investment, even if it's $5 here and $10 here, $10 there.
Over the long haul, those pennies add up, Steve. You've been in this game a long time. It's drip. When you're dividend reinvestment, you keep reinvesting those pennies over time, and they add up.
When you're talking about the best professional bettors in the world are only hitting on a 55% clip, that means that at the end of the year, they're getting a 5% bonus on what they threw down. Then, yeah, every single dollar matters. The Giants are off this week, so with this futures mentality in mind and alternate thinking in line, let's take a look at their futures. And I want to see if any of these interest you at all. Super Bowl's at plus 8,000, NFC champs plus 2,800, and the NFC East champs at plus 1,300. Do you like any of those at all?
I don't mean to offend the Giants fans out there watching. I know you guys are a Jet station, but I'm sure there's plenty of Giants fans watching. I think the feel-good vibes around this Giants team, as much as I love Brian Dable and Mike Kafka and Wink Martindale, and I think that trinity of coaching minds have really done wonders for this locker room, the talent is just bare, and the cupboard is bare, and eventually, in a short sample, in the first 7 games, they started 6-1, and we saw really positives come out of this Giants camp. Well, now they hit the bye, and now the long, the dog days of winter, right, are really starting to settle in. Now, the schedule is favorable over the next 2 games, Detroit and Houston. But then divisional games, 4 straight, Dallas, Washington, Philly, Washington, at Minnesota, game against the Colts at home, and then at Philly to close the year. It's a very fascinating, backloaded schedule for this Giants team in the division. And I'll be honest, They haven't played well in the division over the last few years, especially against the Eagles and the Cowboys. And they've got 3 games left against those two teams down the stretch. So as much as I'd like to see this feel-good story continue, the analytics and the talent in New York just doesn't quite match their win-loss record, and that means I could see some regression coming.
That's why you want to play with smart money here. It's not about betting your emotional side, And by the way, you can go the other way. You could actually bet the Giants to finish 3rd or 4th in the division too, if you really feel like there's a major regression.
Not a bad bet to me. Or to miss the playoffs. Frankly, that would be the one that I'd be interested in.
See, that's the best part about this is it's finding ways to bend the books in your favor based on what you've seen and what you expect to happen in the near future. That's how he sees the Jets and the Giants' futures. Make sure you check out our other segment on his best bets. For Jared Smith of Pickswise, I'm Steve Overmyer. This is Fanalysis.